feed on the sacred ancestral lands of First Nations, Indigenous, and Métis peoples, lands unceded and or under treaty. We make this acknowledgement in respect for our host peoples who have for millennia stewarded these bioregions and watersheds and continue to love and care for the land and water. And we're grateful for them. We commit ourselves to greater learning and the pursuit of a justice that leads to reconciliation. I'm the director of Common Word, a National Anabaptist bookstore and resource center jointly operated by Mennonite Church Canada, Canadian Mennonite University. And we partner with Menno Media, our denominational publisher, and one of the publishers of Shine curriculum. Tonight's conversation is being recorded and will live later on on Common Word's website and on Shine's website, and will be available to folks unable to be here in real time. So we welcome future viewers as well. Tonight we want to talk about Christian faith formation as it is evolving in a post-Christian, post-COVID world, both at church and at home. And to talk about what makes Shine curriculum so adaptable to these new realities. We also want to introduce Shine Everywhere, a new at-home faith formation initiative that Shana will speak more about and is behind a number of things, including the summer Follow the Peace Path cards, which Mennonite Church Canada purchased and your regional church circulated to your congregation. And as I said, we want to keep this conversation interactive and hear also from you a bit about your contexts, your challenges, your opportunities, perhaps some of your initiatives. How is Christian faith formation taking root in your setting? Maybe this is a good juncture then to just make a quick introduction of each of us on screen and just to have a sense of who it is that we're talking with. I will introduce our presenters in a moment, but Michelle, could we start with you, followed by Janet, and then Amy, and then Eric. And I'm sorry, I don't know who's identifying themselves as Knox, but you can follow after that. And just a word about well, your name and also your context, your congregation, any involvement that you have either formally or informally in Christian formation, or any other kind of tidbit that you'd like to share. Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Stace from Steinbeck Mennonite in Manitoba. And we have a small church. Right now, the kids are actually older. So this year I've been trying to do, it's a multi-age, like potentially we could have preschoolers, but at this point we don't have any that usually attend. So I've been using the junior youth and just trying to connect kids from grade 2 up to grade 12 with the junior youth material. And yeah, so they love to dive into their Bibles and look it up, and we have questions and we discuss things together, and yeah, it's working really well. Anything else?
That sounds great. Okay. You may have more to share later. Janet.
Hello, I'm Janet Bauman. I'm from living in Elmira, Ontario, pastoring at St. Jacob's Mennonite Church, so 10 minutes north of Kitchener-Waterloo area. And we have about 6 core families with kids that range from grade 3 to about grade 9, and then a few older teens. And we've used Shine curriculum with those elementary age school kids. And then we tend to also, when we're using Shine in Sunday school, we also use the text in worship, and those frame the themes for our worship services as well.
Thanks. Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy Reed. I am a member of Hamilton Mennonite Church. So not too far from Janet, about an hour away from Kitchener. about an hour away from Toronto and Kitchener and Buffalo in Ontario. I've been very actively involved in our education committee for many years in a number of ways. I also wrote for Gather and edited for Gather Round several years ago, so I'm pretty keenly interested in what's developing with Shine. I'm not on the education committee formally right now, but still pretty plugged into helping with adult ed, and my family is also pretty involved in Sunday school, running it, and my kids and my husband do the special events usually. We have about 40, actually it's I think now 43. We've had some babies come, children and youth under 18. So for our church, that's kind of been a boom lately. We went through a period when my kids were younger where, you know, they were sort of the forward edge of a little group of folks, some of whom have moved away, and then now we have a bigger group, and we've used, you know, Shine or Gather Round previously for years, and really appreciate the thoughtfulness that goes into it. We often, so right now we have sort of, I would say, like a early elementary group, and then a pretty big middler group, and then there's a junior high and youth group that so we have 3 Sunday school classes going, some youth sponsors picking up activity this year as well. And so often we connect the Shine themes to our end of year sort of wrap up Sunday, and the kids get to share with us, you know, pick a main theme and share with us some of the things that they've been doing and learning. And I was really excited to receive a little pack of cards from the MCEC annual gathering in April. So I'm very happy to be here and hear what's developing.
Thank you. Now, Eric Unger will be chatting with us and is here listening, but we don't see him, and we don't have, he doesn't have audio. So Eric, you are from the Glen Lee Mennonite Church here in Manitoba, and if you want to add anything about your context, please feel free to send a message. Welcome here. And the person identified as Knox, can you give an introduction, please? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm in the outside, so I'm in the car.
Oh, yes. Hi, welcome.
Yeah, my name is Knox Kim. I'm attended Chevron Memorial Church in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
So actually 2 years ago, we didn't have any children, but now average 6 children attend Sunday school, and sometimes 10 to 12. So we didn't have any material for Sunday school. So just I wonder about Shine, and then I want to learn about Shine. So yeah.
How many children are in your congregation?
The average attendance is 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. The age is 4 to 10. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, welcome. Yeah. Thanks for joining. And now let me just take a moment to introduce our presenters. Joan, Shana, and Joyce are all each currently involved with Shine curriculum. And as you know, that's our Anabaptist Sunday School resource of Mennonite Church Canada, and Mennonite Church USA, and the Church of the Brethren. Joan Daggett is the project director for Shine. She holds a Master of Arts degree in theology, is an ordained minister, has served in pastoral and judicatory ministries, and before coming to Shine was the executive director of the Brethren Mennonite Heritage Center in Virginia. Shana Peachey Boshart is the project facilitator for Shine Everywhere, Shine's at-home initiative. She holds a graduate certificate in theological studies, has formal training in spiritual direction, and is a qualified administrator of the Intercultural Development Inventory. She is an ordained minister, a credentialed leadership coach, and has served as conference minister for Christian formation in Mennonite Church USA at both the regional and national levels. We're also happy to have Joyce Peachey Lind in tonight's meeting. She is Shine's curriculum editor. She holds an MAT in early childhood education and an MDiv in Christian faith formation. She is an ordained minister, has served as pastor, preschool educator, and a grade 1 teacher, and is currently receiving formal training in spiritual direction. Welcome to everyone. And I pass this over to Joan to begin.
Okay. Thank you so much, Arlen, and all of the folks at Common Word for sponsoring this webinar this evening. We're thrilled to be with you and hope that our time together will be helpful to you and to your ministry with children, youth, and families. First, I will begin by sharing some of the new things that are coming from Shine. And Shana will introduce our new parenting and caregiving initiative, Shine Everywhere. So let me start by sharing my screen. Okay. We want to begin by sharing some of the new faith formation products that are available for church and home from Shine. The Peace Table is not new. It's been out for almost a year now. But if you've not seen it, I encourage you to go on the Shine website and take a look at some of the sample pages of this beautiful story Bible for children. But what is new is the new activity book that goes along with the Peace Table. It's a 16-page booklet of coloring and activity pages for children ages 3 through 12. It will be for sale on the Shine website in a few weeks, so keep an eye out for it. A second companion piece to the Peace Table is our Path to Peace curriculum. You may remember that there are 4 peace paths in woven throughout the Peace Table: peace with creation, peace with God, peace inside, and peace with others. Each peace path includes 15 Bible stories, and this year's Path to Peace curriculum follows the Peace with Creation path. There are 2 levels for this curriculum: pre-K kindergarten and elementary. It has a simple lesson plan and is available in both print and digital formats. It includes reproducible student pages and access to digital resources like music. It is non-dated and can be used at any time of the year. And this does not replace our dated curriculum. We have that line as well. So I'm pleased to share Shine's first at-home resource, which we will test with churches and families in the coming months. The Follow the Peace Path cards. This deck of 52 Peace with Creation cards is packed with ideas for families to do at home together. I think these cards are a great way to connect with families and provide parents and caregivers with an easy and fun faith formation resource. Not only is this product a part of our Shine Everywhere initiative, it's also a companion piece to the Peace Table. We wanted to create a resource that would encourage children to follow the peace paths that are woven throughout the storybook Bible. And we wanted to find something that would encourage them to do that even on their own. So this card deck follows the Peace with Creation peace path. And the cards for each path, Nature Trail, Let It Grow, and Water Wonders, are marked with the path name and a colorful border. There are 3 Let's Pray cards with interactive and fun prayer activities, and 3 Let's Play cards with instructions for 3 simple card games that parents and children can do together. Here's a look at the activity cards for one of the Let It Grow Bible stories, the parable of the sower. Families can read the Bible story from the Peace Table or from a translation of their choosing. Activities on these cards include care, move, create, enjoy, learn, play, and pray. And at the bottom of this slide are just some of the story illustrations that children can see in this card deck. If your church does Vacation Bible School, either in the summer or at other times of the year, Shine has you covered. VBS 2024 is titled Seekers in Sneakers, with a fun geocaching theme where children use their investigative skills to discover Jesus. Geocaching activities challenge children to dig into the Bible to find their way to Jesus. This journey has many twists and turns, so children will learn to ask questions, work with others, shine their light in the world, follow Jesus's example of serving others, and trust Jesus when things go wrong. Ever since the Peace Table came out, we've been asked if there will be posters made of some of the extras in the back of the book. So we listened and are pleased to say that yes, we will have 2 poster packs available. Each pack will contain 6 full color 22 by 17 posters. So the first poster pack will contain types of prayer and ways to pray, as well as peace with God, peace with creation, peace with others, and peace inside. The second poster pack is a Bible reference pack. It contains maps, the Old and New Testament timelines, and the beautiful books of the Bible poster. The maps include the Exodus, Israel in Jesus' time, and the church grows, which includes Paul's journeys. Along with these new products, Shine continues to produce the dated curriculum that you know and love for its emphasis on Anabaptist values and the Bible story. Here are some ways that you can join us on social media. Shine has a Facebook page, and you can join our Shine Everywhere, our Teachers Helping Teachers Shine, and VBS Facebook groups to see what's new and to share your own experiences and your questions with the Shine team and with others. Shine's also active on Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. And for those of you who use Shine's dated curriculum, all of our media connections are pinned on our Pinterest page under boards for each quarter. Joyce will put these direct links in the chat, so I encourage you to copy and paste them somewhere so that you can follow us on social media. As Arlen said, we do want to hear from you, so let's take some time to share with one another. Here are some questions to consider. So how is Christian faith formation taking root in your context? What are the joys, the challenges? What new things are you doing that work? And what faith formation resources could we at Shine be creating that would be helpful to your church and your families? Feel free to unmute yourself and share with us. Joyce is going to put these questions in the chat. So I'll stop sharing and so we can see one another, but you can go to the chat to see the questions. All right, feel free to unmute yourself and share with us.
I can just share one thing briefly. One of the things that we have done when we have used Shine curriculum, we haven't necessarily used it all year round, but we've used it for a chunk of time. So last fall, for example, we used the stories from the Old Testament, from Genesis and then Exodus. And while we were using the Shine curriculum, those were the texts we also used in worship, as I mentioned before. And so the whole congregation was focused on the same text. And we found that to be a really rich way of connecting with across the generations in the congregation. And we did use the Peace Table Bible and projected the images. I hope that was okay. Just projected them on our front of our screen in worship as part of the children's time when we brought the children forward, and would use those images. So it was just one of the things that we've found rich as part of our experience.
That's lovely to do that.
Let me just go back in the chat and read Eric's introduction of himself and a comment he makes. I'm an untrained Sunday school teacher at Glenlee Mennonite Church, just south of Winnipeg. I've got 4 or 5 students, all guys, later teens. The only curriculum we've been using lately is whatever I choose. At the moment, we're using the Naked Pastor cartoons from Canadian Mennonite Magazine as discussion starters. The guys like it. I'm wondering what we could or should use for the upcoming year. He also asks, is Shine just for elementary kids?
So for our dated curriculum, we have the age levels, pre-K kindergarten, elementary, which is grades 1 through 5. And then we have junior youth for grades 6 through 8. On our website, you may also see Generation Y curriculum, which is for senior high youth, grades 9 through 12. Those are downloadable units of about 5 or 6 sessions that you might look there. There's a variety of topics. And you may also be interested. We are looking at creating new youth curriculum. It won't be there ready for the fall, but we are working on that.
I would add my endorsement of Generation Y, and especially since you have older high school age kids, I think that could be really helpful. Also, if that doesn't scratch the itch, Arlen will be happy to share other options with you, I'm sure.
I can also share that Generation Y has been used. My husband teaches that age group, and that's been really appreciated by him and by the students. We've used it over the years. When Gather Round had a youth piece, we used that too. And now we're using Generation Y. Some of the challenges we've faced in the past are just the fluctuation of children in various age groups. Right now, we are able to have, those 3 groups I mentioned, and that's working really well. We tend to find that having 2 teachers who sort of spell each other off has been what's worked for us. And they sometimes choose. If at one point we had a really burgeoning sort of early childhood class. And so sometimes they would say, hey, we would just rather go in each week together. So it's fluctuated a little bit as to how we've staffed Sunday school. But we really are big supporters of the curriculum. We bought Peace Table for Every Family, and that was a huge, very warmly received Bible. I got some for our church library. And so we presented the Bibles to them at our Children's Sunday in June. Education Sunday, actually. And that was, really, they were very happy to receive it. And I heard right away from one of the moms who said, I'm going to need a new Bible soon. I'm already up to, and he named the story that he was at. So who's diligently reading at home, and we love the art. I think you've done a really good job on it. So I want to say that we really appreciate the activities, the activities, the curriculum, and also that book.
Thank you so much.
I know how much thought goes into these pieces, and I really just want to
Yes.
affirm the work you've done.
Thank you.
I will say one more thing. Sorry. I'm a bit of a curriculum junkie, for lack of a better word, but I love the idea that you're looking into putting out something for parent caregivers at home, because I loved that talk about piece. That was kind of a
Yes.
new piece when I wrote for parent caregiver way back when my 18-year-old was a baby. And I love that notion. I've always been looking for things like that we can use at home. My kids are older now, but we still do like to talk about things at home. And so I'm very excited to see those things being developed too. I could certainly see our church purchasing them for families.
Great. Thank you. That's a great segue into Shine Everywhere. And so I'll let Shana take it from here and
Okay.
share about that.
Thank you. And I'm going to share my screen. I have some slides to share with you. So let's see if I can do this smoothly. It's always tricky. All right. Can you see it? Yes. Okay. And now slideshow. All right. So Shine Everywhere is what we're calling our at-home initiative. And one way to talk about it is that it is Shine curriculum listening to churches and families, and in response, creating products for families to use at home. Another way to talk about it would be to sort of emphasize that we're going to be creating test products. And we want to put out a test product, this first one being these cards, and then create ways to collect feedback from families and churches about, is it working well? Do you like it? How is it working? And then as we collect that feedback, we'll take all that feedback into account as we release the next test product. So feedback loops, test products and feedback loops is another way to think about this Shine Everywhere. Churches, we're counting on churches to tell families about the at-home product because our relationship is with the churches. And then families will use it and tell us how it worked for them. Some of the ways that we intend to listen is the very most basic and easy way to access our feedback is through digital surveys. And so toward the end of the summer, we'll put out a digital survey about how all these cards have worked for you. I also am planning some Zoom meeting conversations to collect feedback, and I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute. And another way is just the conversations that I have one-on-one with leaders like yourselves. This is the way I like to say this is how I like to define Shine Everywhere. Shine Everywhere will be a community of churches and families who discover and practice the everywhere habits that grow faith. We will share tips on practices that form faith at home best, and I have some for you tonight. I'm going to share with you six at-home practices that grow faith in the family. We also will create spaces for hearing what is working in churches and in families. And we're committed to tell you what we're learning so that we can all be enriched and we can all benefit from what it is that we learn together here. Of course, we need your involvement in Shine Everywhere. And some of the ways that you can be involved are to fill out our interest form. And I did forget to give Joyce that it's on the Shine Everywhere page of our website. There's an interest form there. I'll just tell all of you, if you go to shinecurriculum.com, in one of the drop-down menus I think it's under resources, you'll see Shine Everywhere. And that's where you can go anytime to look for information about it. Sometime in the next few months, couple months, we will have a website called shineeverywhere.com. Right now we're building it, and it's not quite ready, but there will come a time when you can do that. In fact, if you type in shineeverywhere.com, it should take you right to our Shine Everywhere page, even now. So please do sign up for our newsletter, which Joyce will find and link in the chat for you. And also join our Shine Everywhere Facebook group. That's a good way to keep in touch with what we're doing, because that's where we'll put our announcements about what's new. Apply to be in a Zoom roundtable, which I'll explain in a minute. And we have different roles for families and churches, and which I've already gone over. So I do want to tell you about our Follow the Peace Path roundtables. These are the Zoom meetings that I said I would tell you about. We had put out the plea or the invitation for people to apply to the Follow the Peace Path roundtables, and our deadline was the end of April. And so we have a nice group of churches who are participating in that, but none of them are from Mennonite Church of Canada. So we would love to have 2 or 3 congregations from Mennonite Church Canada apply to be in these roundtables. And I'll explain to you now what that would be. What you would be committing to is buying, making sure that your families have the card deck over the summer, and bringing them to our Zoom roundtable meetings. And you don't have to bring all the families, just bring 1 or 2 parents from different households. Like if you bring 2 parents, it would be great if they were from different households. Just bring them with you to a Zoom roundtable meeting where we can talk about the Follow the Peace Path cards and how they're working. The June 3 and 13 meetings will be an introduction to the cards and an introduction to the roundtable concept. So you can just kind of come cold to that meeting and bring a parent or 2. Then in midsummer, we'll start collecting your impressions and your feedback on how it's going for you. And then at the end of summer, we'll meet again on Zoom and hear, more fully, how it worked for the families. And we'll ask you at that point, what should we create next? How well did this help your family talk about faith at home? And what can you imagine that you would appreciate having in the future? So that, again, that same web address, shineeverywhere.org, or the Shine Everywhere page of our Shine Curriculum website, is where you fill out a short application to be a part of the roundtable. I want to share with you another way you can be involved in the Shine Everywhere project, and that is if you're a pastor or a faith formation leader in your congregation and you have a desire to hear from the parents in your congregation, how can our congregation serve you as parents better and equip you as parents to talk about faith at home and to form faith at home? So this is where my role as a coach comes in, where I accompany you as you do a listening project with your families. And you and I would get together on Zoom and we would think about, what are your goals? What do you hope to learn? And what would be the best way for you to carry out a project like that? Would it be through surveys? Would it be through meetings? If it's through meetings, what kind of meetings work best for your parents? Just help you think that through and make a plan. And then once you've carried out your plan, we would talk again, and because then you could tell me what you learned, and that helps all of us learn together. And hopefully along the way, I have accompanied you in a very worthwhile project as you listen to your parents. There is also an application for that on the same web page, and there's no deadline for that. You can apply anytime. This is something I want to be doing with leaders throughout the 5-year project. So maybe it's something that you want to do next fall or a year from now, or whatever works for you. And then the third way, this is another way, again, we've talked about, we'll put out surveys at the end of the summer. So families who don't participate in the roundtables can just fill out a survey real quick. And the way you learn about these is by signing up for the Shine Everywhere newsletter, following the Shine Facebook group, or checking in at shineeverywhere.com. I want to stop sharing for a minute here and just ask, are there any questions about Shine Everywhere? And I could also invite Joan or Joyce to jump in and fill in any gaps I may have left.
I just want to clarify. So the Shine Everywhere pieces, are they separate from the dated curriculum? So there's something that sort of an additional thing that families can do at home, as opposed to like when I wrote for the talkabouts for Gather Round years past, we connected them to what the kids were learning in Sunday school and possibly what the parents and caregivers were doing. But this is a separate piece that just is an additional way for families to foster faith formation at home. Is that correct?
I think you can think about it that way, although our first product is very much connected to the Peace Table and the Peace Path curriculum. Yeah.
Okay.
But they were very intentional when they made these cards to make them so that you wouldn't have to have the Peace Table and you wouldn't have to be using the curriculum to get the value out of the cards.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. And so is the intent to sort of link them in that way going forward or will that remain to be seen?
I think it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
In my mind, there's so much value in keeping everything really well connected. It makes a lot of sense to do that. But I think it kind of depends on what we learn from the families.
Exactly. Yeah, I was curious about that too. It'll be really interesting to see. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments, clarification that anybody needs? Okay, well, what I'd like to do next is our time is just flying by, and I want to share with you the 6 practices that grow faith at home. And I'm just going to run through those pretty quickly. Let's see, wait. First, I have to share my screen. Here we go. Share screen and play from current slide. Okay, so there are 6 practices that grow faith at home. And these come from this book that you see pictured here, Families at the Center of Faith Formation. That's a book that came out a few years ago. That is basically, it's full of summaries of research projects on families forming faith at home and what works. And so I got these 6 practices from this book. I gave them each the name that made sense to me. And our very talented graphic designer at Shine Curriculum, Ruben Graham, created these little icons for us. The first one, the first one is talk together. Talk together at home about things that matter. Talk together about faith, about who is God to me, about our images of God, about Bible stories. Just making these things the subject of the conversations we have together at home is an important faith practice. Pray together, similar. Find ways to pray together in ways that feel natural to you and your family. Even the simple things like praying together at mealtime, eating meals together and praying together before we eat, praying at bedtime. There are also things you can do like send your child out the door with a blessing as they leave the house. Pray together when something hard happens, when there's a loss or when someone's having a hard day. The third practice is celebrate moments, milestones, and holidays. Another way to think about this is rituals. Build rituals into your family life, rituals and traditions. So celebrate, and sometimes, and I also love the idea of remembering to celebrate together when good things happen, and then milestones like getting your driver's license, or, starting middle school. Those are big milestones for children. Find ways to celebrate, recognize, create rituals and traditions around these things. Kids love rituals, as I'm sure you know. Serve others together. This is the 5, what are we on 4? Research shows that families who serve others together are families in which faith is alive and growing, and not just the children, but the parents as well. So taking food to a neighbor or to another church member, helping people with their yard work. There are lots, working together at the MCC thrift store. There are lots of ways to serve together, and it is worth parents' time and effort to do that. And then talk about why we're doing that. You can combine serve and talk. You can combine serve and pray. Learn and grow in your faith. This one, more than any of the others, is very much an orientation of the parents, I think. Have that orientation to faith, that faith is about learning and growing, and that it takes a commitment on my part to learn and grow in my faith. It takes my attention. And as you do that together and think about that, how that impacts your children, you can encourage learning, that same orientation toward learning and growing in your children. And then the 6th one, worship together at church. Families who go to church together definitely have an advantage. There's support for their faith life together. There's accountability. There's a whole community there of people that they can be a part of who are reinforcing those faith habits and faith patterns. So that's a really important and effective way to grow faith together as a family. So I hope to share these faith practices over and over throughout our project, throughout the Shine Everywhere project. Parents will choose the practices that they will do at home. And churches have a really vital role to play with this, because churches can share these practices with the parents. You can provide settings where parents can hear about them, get ideas, create a plan, and then come back a few weeks later and share how is their plan going. I was just listening to a talk by Tracy Smith that yesterday or today, and she was saying that her research is finding that the accountability piece is really key when it comes to faith at home practices with parents. So that's what I have to share about that. And I thought that we could talk a little bit about, Joyce will put a link in the chat to, we've created a bookmark of these 6 practices. If you print the 2 sides of the 2 pages of the bookmark on the same sheet of paper and then cut them up, you get 4 bookmarks, 4 2-sided bookmarks. So there's a free resource that can be helpful to you as you share these practices with families. So my question to you is, how do you see your families doing these practices? And are there resources that we could provide to help you share these 6 practices with your families? Just unmute and share your thoughts. Do these sound familiar to you? Have you encountered these before? I would say quite some time ago, maybe in the early aughts, Marlene Bogart from Western District had a resource that named four of these 6. And I remember using that quite a bit. So yeah, they shouldn't be too new to us. What are the challenges or the experiences that you've had around faith practices at home and sharing, what do you see your parents doing? What challenges do you see them having?
Time, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Arlen. We almost always have supper together, but I know that's not very common, and I'm hearing more and more from people that's not common. That there are after school activities or all kinds of other things that are requiring time, and parents maybe working shifts or traveling and so on. So meals for us have been a really natural way to do these sorts of things. And then, the service plugging into our congregation has been a wonderful way to just have, an ongoing supply of service projects and things like that to be involved in. So I think, yeah, I just recently purchased a book for our library called Overplayed, talking about how do you think about faith formation and existing alongside all of the other things vying for our time. So these are the things I think I'm hearing from some of the families, as particularly I think when their kids get to be sort of grade 4 and above, then we're missing them for large periods of time, sort of in church, even because they're traveling or they're in rep soccer or what have you. So I think time, as you said. I said it in a much longer way, Arlen.
One way that I hope that we can approach these 6 practices is to think of these not as, oh, now I have to do all 6 of those. No, just pick 1 or 2. And I think too that for me, the clarity that it brings is these are the things that will make a difference. Like, you don't have to do all 6. But you can stop wondering what will work and what to do, right? Pick some of these 6, pick a couple of these that feel like they would fit your family and do those, and know that they're worth doing. You're not just shooting in the dark. Well, it's been a delight to be with each of you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Does anyone before we close, I would like to give you an opportunity to ask a question or make a comment. Whether it's our participants or Arlen, Joan, or Joyce. Okay, well, we have a closing blessing. Oh,
I
go
would
ahead, Janet.
just offer one thought,
Yeah.
thinking about parents and what they're coping with and facing. I think, the conversation about how to use media devices. Kids younger and younger are on cell phones, online, on various forms of media. And I think for parents, I know in my day that was the biggest struggle. It was more around computer use and computer games with my kids. They're in their mid to late 20s now, but I think now it's even more ubiquitous. And so there's no easy answers, but I think that's one of the biggest realities for parents. One of the biggest challenges and struggles.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. Yes. I mean, right here, this is what this book is about. And all three of us are working our way through that book right now. And it's super helpful, very sobering. But you're exactly right, Janet. And it's something that we are thinking about. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up.
I appreciate the these cards, the Shine Everywhere cards. I think it's a good chance for parents to be able to do some faith stuff in connection with their kids, and then it takes the guilt off. I think so many parents feel I should be doing this and I should be doing this and I should be doing this, where they can say, I have a moment, I can just grab a card and do it. And like that, there's stuff that they can do at home whenever it works for them. So I appreciate the at home stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, we want to leave you with a blessing, and I will start that. By the tender mercy of our God, the dawn from on high will break upon us to give light to those who sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace.
Candle once lit can spread the light to many other candles. The light grows and grows.
May God give you deep love for each child or youth in your care. May your compassion and welcome make God's love real to each one.
Your word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path.
Go from this time and place, knowing that God's light shines through you and that God is with you. Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joan and Shana, Joyce, for joining us. Thank you for the rest of you for joining us. And we wish you peace and the light of Christ as you walk forward.